Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2020 Mazda CX-30, we're going to be showing you how to install the CURT Class 1 trailer hitch receiver. But before we do that, why don't we check it out and make sure that it's something that's going to work for you. So these CX-30s are, really good looking vehicles. They have a nice sporty appearance to them. So if it were me and I was looking for a hitch, I'd want one that would look good. I don't want a big bulky hitch kind of hanging down here, taking up a lot of space and kind of sticking out like a sore thumb. And that's not the case at all with this one. It actually blends in really well. For the most part, it's going to be completely hidden. So it really does do a great job of, maintaining a factory type appearance. With that said, what the hitch is going to allow you to do is use a lot of different types of accessories and things like that, which is nice because these CX-30s, we don't have a ton of space on the inside. So if you're trying to carry a few extra things around or a couple of bikes, that can be kind of a hassle to have to kind of jam them in the back of the car. With a hitch on here, we can use a bike rack or something like that, take all that stuff from the inside, store it out here, and make it a lot more comfortable. With this being a Class 1 hitch, it is going to give us that 1¼ by 1¼ receiver tube opening. And this hitch does have a reinforced collar. Not only does it add a little bit of strength, but honestly, I like the look of it too. It kind of has more of a finished or complete type appearance to it. It is going to have the 1/2-inch size pinhole. A pin and clip does not come included, but if you need one, you can grab it here at eTrailer. And we're going to have loop style safety chain openings. All right, and these should give us enough space to use pretty much any size hook that we might have. As far as the hitch's weight capacities go, it's going to have a 200-pound maximum gross tongue weight rating. And that's going to be the amount of weight that's pushing down on the hitch. So that's good for those 1 to 2 bike racks, just to kind of give you an example. As far as the maximum gross trailer weight rating goes, that's going to be 2,000 pounds. That's going to be the amount of weight that's pulling on the hitch. So that is the weight of the trailer plus anything that you might have on it. I do always like to recommend though, never a bad idea just to grab your owner's manual. That way you can make sure your Mazda can pull that much weight safely. Now let's go ahead and take a couple of measurements. That way we can try to figure out which hitch mounted accessories will work best. If you go from the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening, it's going to be about 13.5 inches. So chances are pretty good you can use an accessory with a straight shank. If you find one that has a small rise in it, even better. If you go from the center of the hitch pin hole to the edge of our rear bumper, it looks like it's going to be about 4 inches. You can take that measurement to figure out exactly if any of those folding accessories you do have can indeed be stored in that upright position without hitting the bumper. So at the end of the day, a hitch you really can't go wrong with. In my opinion, I think it looks the best appearance-wise, and it's going to allow you to use those accessories and get the job done. As far as the installation goes, really not too bad. There is a few things that you need to do, but everything's pretty easy to get to and really shouldn't give you a whole lot of issues. Speaking of which, let's go ahead, pull into the garage and put it on together now. To begin our installation, we're going to be here underneath of our Mazda, and first thing we need to do is lower our exhaust down. That way it'll give us some extra room to work. That way we can get our hitch up in place. Before we actually let our exhaust hang, we want to make sure that we have a way to kind of help support it and control how fast and how far we let it down. So what I like to do is just take a strap, kind of run it from side to side, put a little tension on it. That way our exhaust won't just come hanging down very quickly. To get our exhaust lowered, we're going to have a total of 4 rubber isolator hangers just like this. So 2 on each side of our vehicle. They're going to be set up the same exact way. So to get those removed, you can spray them down with some penetrating oil or soapy water, something like that. Helps them slide off. Then you can take a pry bar. We're just going to work one end of that rubber isolator hanger off like that. Everything's removed. What we can do is loosen up our strap some and let that exhaust hang down a little ways. Now what we need to do is come over here to our frame rail and enlarge one of the holes. That way we can get our hardware in place. And we're going to use this one right here. All right, and we need to open it up large enough. That way we can get our carriage bolt and our spacer block inside, if that makes sense. And I want to mention anything from this point on that we do to this side of the vehicle, we're also going to do to the other side because it'll be set up the same way. So to open this up, I'm going to use a step bit. You can also use a file or a burr bit, pretty much anything you have laying around that can enlarge this. So you want to get that hole large enough to be able to just get our hardware in. So we have our spacer block, that fits in there relatively easy, as well as the carriage bolt. That can go in there. I don't want to push it all the way up, it might be hard to get back out. So we just want to verify it fits. And then from there, what we can do is grab some paint and coat this bare metal to help keep it protected from any rust or corrosion. So I'll just use some clear spray paint to get a layer of protection on that exposed metal. Now what we're able to do is get our hardware in place. So we're going to have two attachment points, this opening here as well as this one there. And what we're going to do is start back here. We're going to take our fish wire with the coiled end, push that up through that opening, and what we're trying to do is get it to come out of this hole that we enlarged. Sometimes it's kind of tricky. You may have to kind of reach up there and help, you know, guide it out. Once we have it out though, you're going to take your spacer block and your carriage bolt. Carriage bolt will thread onto the pull wire. And then we can feed our hardware up inside of the frame, pull it until it drops out like so. And we're going to do that same thing for this attachment point here. Again, feeding it into the frame rail and into position. Now with the next set of hands, we can take our hitch and raise it into position. You want to make sure the fish wires go through the corresponding holes. Once you have them through, you can lift it up and over the exhaust. Get it pushed flat against the frame, and you want your hardware to drop through. Once it's dropped through, you can remove one of the fish wires. You're going to take a flange nut, and you want to get at least one started on each side, hand tight. That way the hitch will support itself while we work on the rest of the hardware. With all of our hardware in place and hand tight, come back with a 19mm socket and snug it all down. Now we need to make sure and come back with a torque wrench and tighten down all of the hardware to the amount specified in the instructions. With the hitch all torqued down, we can now raise our exhaust back into position. So I'm just gonna kind of guide it up with my hands this time and slide those hangers right back into place. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the CURT Class 1 trailer hitch receiver on our 2020 Mazda CX-30.